Hello, in this video we will talk about the while loop. Okay, so the while loop, think about it in this way, okay? So take a look at this flow chart, okay? So your program will start from here, and then program is going to go all the way down, and then we're going to get into a conditional statement, which is the while loop. It's very similar to the if statement, okay? If you remember the if statement with the condition, if the condition is true, you're going to take the branch. Okay, and then you're going to continue to the rest of the program. If the condition is false, you're going to skip the branch and continue to the rest of the program. Okay, with the while loop, it's kind of like a repeated if statement. So if the condition is true, you're going to take the branch, but after you finish the branch, you are not going to continue the program. You're going to go back again and test the condition again. Okay, so and if it's true, you're going to take it again over and over until this condition is false. Once this condition is false, you're going to skip the block and or the branch, and then you're going to continue to the rest of the program. Okay, so this is very simple way. The way it's structured, okay, or the way the syntax for the while state or the while loop. We're going to have the while loop as you see it over here, and between the parentheses, you don't have to have a parenthesis, we have the expression or the conditions. This is very similar to what we have in if statement. It's going to be either true or false. Something is going to be Boolean, okay? So if this expression is true, you're going to execute this block, which we call it the iteration. So this block is going to be executed over and over, and pay attention. This also is going to be indented, okay? It's not going to be the same level as the while. It's going to be indented. It's going to go a little bit in, okay? So that being said, the loop or the iteration is just going to be something like the branch. You're going to take it over and over and over. And the expression is going to be something like just kind of a Boolean. If it's true, you're going to take the loop. If it's not true, you're going to skip the loop. Okay. When it comes to using while loop follows like a general pattern. Okay, so first, before we access to the while loop, we have a stage or a step it calls initialization. Okay, we're going to talk about this initialization later on in the example, but here is you're going to initialize some values that will go into the expression, and these values or variables also going to be updated inside the body of the while loop. In this case, we will get to a certain point that where the expression is going to be false, not going to be all the time true. Okay, so again, let's go back again to it. We have the stage initialization, and then we have the while loop, or we call it also the header of the while loop. Okay, it starts with the word while. Then we have the expression or expressions, and we can also use and or over here. And then we have the colon over here. After that, we have the statement. This part is the part that's going to be repeated over and over and over. And also, this part is going to change or prepare the variables that we initialized at this stage for the next time we go through the loop. In this case, the while loop is going to come to a point where the expression is going to be false, and we're going to exit the while loop and continue the rest of the program. Okay, let's take a look at this example. This is very example, and so we're going to trace this example. All right, so at line 1 over here, we created a variable called it count, and we make it equal to 0. This is the initialization step. Okay, again, the while loop has a general pattern. Okay, so we initialized the variable with 0, and then we have the header of the while loop. The header says while count less than 3. Okay, obviously count is equal to 0 at this point, and now of course it is less than 3. That means I'm going to execute the body of the while loop. Okay, so what is the body of the while loop says? It says the count is count, and then increase it by 1. Here is the preparation for the variable for the next while loop. So after I finish line number 4, it's going to go back again to line number 2 and test it. Now count is not 0 anymore. Now it's 1. and also it's going to be true, and continue, and so on and so forth until we finish where the while loop gets to false, line number 2. I'm going to skip 3 and 4 and go to line number 5, and here is going to be my output. Let's go step by step following this table over here. Okay, so first at line 1, I initialize, and this is going to be for the lines, okay, that's going to be executed, and here is going to be what's the value of count, and here just going to give you some comments. Okay, so at line 1, first I initialized count to 0, and at line 2, what happened? Count is still 0. So is 0 less than 3? Yes. That means I'm going to go to line 3. Count did not change. I printed the statement, and then I'm going to go to line number 4. I increased it by 1. 0 plus 1 equal to 1. And then I'm going to go back again to the header of my while loop, which is line number 2. Now count is equal to 1. I'm going to test it. Is 1 less than 3? Yes. I'm going to go to line number 3. Count is still 1. So I'm going to print this line. Okay. And then I'm going to go to line number 4. I'm going to increase count by 1. Now count equal to 2. I'm not going to skip. I'm going to go back again to the header of my while loop. Now count is equal to 2. Is 2 is less than 3? Yes, it's true. I'm going to go inside the while loop, the iteration. I'm going to go to line 3. Line 3, count is equal to 2, which is going to print this line. And then line 4 is going to increase it by 1, which is going to make it 3. Then I'm going to go back again to line number 2, which is the while loop, and test it. Is 3 less than 3? This is false. So in this case, I'm not going to go to line 3 and 4. I'm going to skip them. I'm going to go to the rest of the program, which says line number 5, and that's when it prints goodbye. Okay, take a look at this example and try it yourself. All right, here's another 2 examples, and I want you to take a look at these examples and try them on, and you will see there's some type of difference over here. Okay, so in this first example, we initialized I by 4, and then we tested in the while loop, is it less than 9? Then we printed it, and then we increased. Over here, we did the same thing, except that these 2 lines, we flipped them. We increased the I, and then we printed the I. Take a look at that and try to see why the output of these 2 examples are different. Okay. There's one more important thing when it comes to while loop. While loop is one of the first things that you're going to learn about loops, but it's very, very dangerous. Okay. So you have to be very careful when you create the while loop, because you might end up with something we call it the infinite loop. What is the infinite loop? The infinite loop is basically the condition or the expression that you have inside the while loop or in the header of the while loop is going to be always true. It will never ever reach to the point where it's going to be false. So that means the while loop is just going to keep running and running and running and running forever. Okay. So that being said, that's this phenomenon, we call it the infinite loop. You don't want to have that in your program. Okay, it's very important that you try to avoid having that infinite loop. You can do that by initialization. Make sure also inside the body of your while loop, you are updating the variable that you have in the expression. Also, when you have the expression, try to avoid using the equal sign, because sometimes some points that even if you increment the variables that you initialized before, it's probably not going to come to a value where is it going to be exactly equal to what you have in the expression. So try to use less than or greater than, which is going to avoid it. Even if it's not going to be the same exact, at certain points it's going to be either less than or greater than. Here's an example of infinite loop. Look at this number, look at this expression that we have. While 1 greater than 0, print I. Well, 1 is always going to be greater than 0. And that in this case, we're going to have an infinite loop. The print I is not going to stop. It's going to keep printing. And you can try this example by yourself. In this case, what should you do? You should hit Control and C. This Control and C is going to basically interrupt the program, and it's going to kill the program. And that's it about while loop. We can learn more about while loops, but careful with the infinite loop when it comes to the while loop.